When I started my career as a photographer and creator, I got sucked into every different habit the internet told me would make me more successful. Everything from distance running to the sauna to overly complicated productivity systems, I tried everything. And while I did fall in love with running, I have to acknowledge it did very little to help me reach my goal of $10,000 per month. After years of trial and error, I realized the extreme stuff just looks and sounds cool on the internet. The key to success is in the small, actionable steps that you can take every day and every week to compound over time. Nothing in this video is special or complicated, but all of these habits have made a dramatic difference in my life as a parent, photographer, and internet creator, and helped me reach that goal of $10,000 per month. Maybe your interpretation of them can help you as well. Big thank you to Day One for sponsoring this video. What's up, y'all? So it should go without saying this video is not a flex or anything like that. I have much larger goals than $10,000 per month, but after reaching this financial milestone, I feel compelled to share the reality of what it actually takes to get here. Number one is a nightly routine. Now, everyone knows about a morning routine. You see like an Instagram reel every 2 reels that you swipe through of someone giving their different routine. Morning routines are cool, by all means have one, but a lot of people, myself included, overlook the importance of a nightly routine. Now, the reason a nightly routine has made a massive difference in my business is because a quality night of sleep completely changes who you are as a person, and having a nightly routine allows you to set the conditions to get the night of sleep necessary to be productive, energized, full of good thoughts the next day. And we all know if you have those 3 things, you're going to excel as a business person, as an artist, as a creator, whatever it is that you're trying to do. Now, my nightly routine is pretty simple for the most part, and it goes like this every single night of the week, except maybe Saturdays. Saturdays we might go out and do like date night or something, and I let loose a little bit. But every single weeknight, every work night, it looks like this. 7:30, I go downstairs, turn on some type of show to decompress. Apple TV has the best shows, hands down. That's what we're watching right now. And while I'm watching that, I make myself a night tea. Now, the tea I drink at night definitely doesn't have caffeine in it. It's usually like a kava tea or something that can de-stress and calm you down. Now, I don't think this actually does anything. I just think it's a placebo effect, and I like the sensation of watching a show and drinking a warm beverage. Now, around 8:30, I take the supplements that I take every night to help me get a good night of sleep. Now, the supplements I take, this isn't a health video, but it's really basic stuff. It's like zinc, magnesium, maybe some valerian root, maybe some ashwagandha. Just basic stuff. Go talk to your doctor about what you can take to help you sleep at night. But then I set the coffee maker to make coffee for the following morning. I pick up my ice mask out of the freezer, put that on, get into bed. Now, the ice mask is definitely something that is up for interpretation. I just like it because it relaxes me and it keeps me off my phone in bed. I have a strict no screen rule when I'm in bed. There's no TV on, there's no phone on, because there's plenty of research out there about how blue light can affect your ability to fall asleep and affect your quality of sleep. So I do all that, and on average, I would say I'm asleep most nights by 9:30, 9:45 at the absolute latest. But most nights I get a fantastic night of sleep, and I'm able to get up the following morning at 5 or 5:30 and have no real tiredness issues or anything like that. Obviously, there are occasional nights where my son wakes me up or something happens to affect my sleep, but for the most part, sleep is usually good. And when I feel good the following day, I'm able to get so much more done. Now, number 2 actually takes place the following morning when I wake up. The second habit that I do every single day, minus Saturdays and Sundays sometimes, is having a daily win to start the day. Now, I consider a daily win whatever the priority I set the night before for myself is. Usually it has something to do with my health. I've found that balancing my business and family and relationships and all the different things I have to do, health is something that I don't want to push to the bottom of the importance list, but I end up doing, and a lot of times it affects my mental health. I get really fussy, I guess, when I don't exercise. So I usually set the goal for myself to work out at 5:30, go to the gym, and just accomplish something that is for me. Give myself some type of win. Now, some days this win might be something related to work. Maybe I have a deadline to hit. Maybe I need to make sure I finish something. I get up, knock that out, and I immediately have this sense of accomplishment to start my day. day. And everyone's going to be different on this, but getting that feeling of accomplishment out of the way early, doing something that feels like a challenge, just helps me set the day in the right direction. Now, the third habit is switching gears a little bit, but it's the habit of writing every single day. Now, in 2021, this is when I picked up this habit, and it started as something more in my personal life. I was journaling every day. I was doing a lot of gratitude journaling to try to get me through a more challenging point in my life, and eventually this habit rolled over into my business. Now, what I like to do with this habit of writing is don't set any major goal. Just get an idea out on paper every day, big or small. Usually for me now, it is me writing some type of script or idea for these YouTube videos, or maybe something for my Instagram reels or something like that. And by doing this every day, I've created this repetition of me being able to take an idea in my head and translate it out to something that's digestible and understandable for a viewer like you. I feel like ever since I picked this up, it's made my YouTube videos much better. And this is something I implemented into the channel around the middle of last year. I essentially started writing the entire video before I hit record on the camera. And ever since I did that, this YouTube channel has continued to grow and views have gone up on average for most of the videos. And I would attribute all that growth to this newfound ability to have less resistance getting ideas in my head out into a palatable form via this video or an Instagram reel. And eventually I want to do a newsletter, but my spelling and grammar is so atrocious in these notes, I gotta find a solution to fixing that. But something I wanna do is get back into the personal journaling as well. I've definitely fallen off on that in the last year as I focused more on business, but I found personal journaling allows me to be more in touch with myself and helps me come up with better ideas and better concepts to give y'all more value via the things that I make. And something that is actually making this entire process much easier is today's sponsor, Day One. Day One is the #1 journaling app on the Apple App Store and provides journalists new and old with new features that make daily journaling a breeze. Now, I'll be the first to admit, when Day One reached out to me in December, I was a little bit skeptical. My plan for 2024 was to bring personal journaling back into my habits by just using the Notes app on my iPhone. But I did recognize how this could get a little bit messy over time. Day One showed me all the amazing features their app has to offer, and I was immediately sold on using them as my journaling solution this year. Now, what I love about Day One is a number of things. First, they allow you to easily categorize all of your different entries. And on top of that, Day One has a number of different templates. Let's say every day you want to create a to-do list, you can save a to-do list template and use that over and over to give your journaling consistency. The same thing applies to personal journaling. They have a template that is designed to only take 5 minutes to fill out, so you can get that consistency and not have to deal with creating a custom entry every single time. My goal in February is to do one of these 5-minute journals every single day. We'll check back in one of those videos and see if I can stick to it. But I love how easy this app makes journaling with their premium features. And one thing that really sold me is the fact that it can transcribe your voice notes. So if you're someone like me who is constantly taking notes on your iPhone, you don't have to type anymore. You can just speak an idea into the app. It will save it and transcribe it for you, and it can turn into something like this YouTube video or any content that you're making. So Day One is hooking up the channel with 2 months of their premium. This is an offer that is only available on this YouTube channel. You can't get it anywhere else. So try Day One Journal today. Go to dayoneapp.com/EvanRanft and use code EvanRanft to unlock a 2-month free trial of Day One Premium. That's dayoneapp.com/EvanRanft and use code EvanRanft to get that 2-month free premium trial and see why it's the #1 journaling app out there. And big thank you to Day One for sponsoring today's video. Now, the fourth habit that has helped me get to $10,000 a month is to actively give myself space to create something. Give myself the space to come up with new ideas. Now, this is a topic I've talked about quite a bit. It's something that I wholeheartedly believe in, but I believe that people do not have the ability to just get inspired. Inspiration finds you. To quote Rick Rubin, who I've quoted plenty of times in videos, we are vehicles for inspiration. Ideas find us when we have a clear signal that allows that idea to get to us. And sitting in an office like this, scrolling through your phone, is not the way that you allow those new ideas to come to you. You see, this process of creation is all about getting out of your own way. getting out of your own head, being free to come up with something new. So for me, I reached this mental freedom point in two different ways. On the photography side of things, the more art side of things, I just allow myself an hour, 2 hours, once a week to go out and create completely for free. There's no expectations. It doesn't have to be on Instagram, doesn't have to end up on YouTube. I'm just going out to make something. And by removing this pressure, usually what happens is I start out a little bit slow, but once I make a few photos, it's like a chain reaction of dominoes that eventually lead me to some type of picture or some type of idea that I never thought about in the first place. It's just this chain reaction of inspiration of one idea leading to the next, and eventually I find myself creating something that I'm very happy with that I never would have thought about sitting in this office. It's all the process that led me there. And when it comes to more conceptual ideas like a YouTube video or a script like the video you're watching now, I like to go out on a run, and on that run just let my mind completely wander. I do these runs at a pace that isn't so difficult that I'm thinking about the run. I can just get it done for 45 minutes and think about whatever's on my mind. I can throw some music on, I can listen to a book, listen to a podcast, and just let this seed develop in my head. And once the run is complete, I go on a walk afterwards and I write down everything I thought about, start watering that seed metaphorically, and try to come up with some type of idea that can eventually turn into a YouTube video or a concept that I might be able to use down the line. This is the process that works for me, and it all starts with just giving myself the time necessary, that hour, that 2 hours a couple times a week, to let my mind wander and be free and let the ideas come to me rather than actively going out and looking for them, which, like I already said, we all know never really works. So speaking of giving myself weekly space to allow new inspiration to find me, that leads to the fifth habit we got to talk about, which is setting weekly targets as opposed to daily targets. Now, I don't know about y'all, everyone's brain is wired differently, but I found that when I have a very long list of tasks that I'm trying to complete in a single day, if something goes wrong in that day, I almost get sent into this mini rut, and the whole week just feels chaotic, and it's not great for your mental health. So to alleviate this overwhelm and make my weeks flow a little bit better, I started setting weekly goals as opposed to daily goals. Now, I do have a small daily task list that I like to follow on days where I'm busy, but I don't have it set in stone. It's very flexible, and I'm okay with things not going right. So for example, let's say my goal is to run 25 miles in a week. Rather than saying I need to run 5 miles on these days exactly, I just say, hey, the goal is to hit 25 miles. That's the volume. And if I have a day where I don't sleep well, or my son gets sick, or something comes up at work and I have to miss a run, it's not a big deal. This is just something that personally has helped me mentally with all the chaos that can come with all the things you have to juggle as a modern day person. Habit 6 is one that helps me have less of these bad, unproductive days. And this is giving myself a grounding activity inside of my workday. Something that is repetitive that I can do every single day to start my workday, to take some of the frustration out of the larger creative tasks that I have to do later. Essentially, easing myself into the workday with something that is consistent. Now, this is the concept that I got from the Andrew Huberman podcast. If you don't know who that is, he has a lot of amazing information, really cool, interesting scientist. Definitely check it out if you want to learn something. But he did a piece a while back where he broke down the creative process for most people. And the process goes similar to what I described with my process for photography. It starts with frustration. It's difficult to get your ideas out, take your vision, and get it out in the world. But eventually this frustration wears off and you hit a flow state, and all the creative visions you have become easier to manifest. So go back to my example of me making pictures. It's usually hard at the start for me to come up with ideas. I just take a bunch of bad photos, but eventually all those bad photos lead me to something. That's when I hit that flow state. Now, in my workday, I also have to create a lot, usually in the way of editing photos and editing videos. So what I like to do to start the workday is give myself something that is low pressure to absorb some of that creative frustration. Now, in the past, this would be something like creating or editing an Instagram story or something I was going to post on Twitter. But this year, I've switched to a daily photo project that I'm doing on Instagram. I created a second account, and every day I start my workday with processing a photo to post to that page, essentially completing this daily challenge. And typically, that photo that I'm editing absorbs a lot of the frustration of getting started. So once I complete that photo, it usually takes 45 minutes to an hour. I feel creatively charged up. I'm ready to go, and all of the things that I have to do for work, like editing photos for clients or YouTube videos or editing a video like this one, becomes so much easier. The frustration is no longer being applied to something that's very important, like paid client work. It's being applied to something that's fun and low pressure. And by giving myself this task every single day that doesn't have a lot of weight attached to it, I feel like I'm able to get into that creative flow state a lot faster. Now, obviously, there's a lot of nuance here. Everyone is going to look a little different based on your situation and your business, but the key takeaway is to attach the frustration that comes with starting your workday to a task that doesn't have a lot of pressure attached to it. Let's say you work in an office environment and your high pressure task for the day is creating some big presentation. Rather than putting all of the creative frustration on that presentation, a high pressure situation, start with something low pressure. Let the low pressure task of answering emails, doing admin work, absorb some of that frustration so you're in more of a flow state when it comes time for the big task like your presentation. That one, it's a little bit nuanced. I almost didn't include it in the video, but it's really important for me. I love starting my day with something simple, and I think I spend a lot less time working because I'm not frustrated on this task that has all this pressure assigned to it. But there we go. That is everything I wanted to talk about today. Those are the habits that have made a dramatic difference in my personal life as well as my business life. Feel free to drop your thoughts as well as questions in the comments. I'll get back to everyone that I can. I'll see y'all in the next video.